the Racing Postcast in association with Paddy Power. They pay more extra places than any other bookie.
Hi there, it's the Racing Post Weekend Postcast. I'm Bruce Millington, and in the company of the newly crowned 2016 Naps Table champion Paul Keeley.
Well on, Paul. Well on.
Thank you.
The ebullient Emerald Islander, even. Top news hound, top judge David Jennings. How about that for a build-up, David? That's not bad,
Lovely.
is it? Happy
Enjoyed
with that?
yeah.
Good.
Yeah, enjoyed it, yeah.
And from Paddy Power, Frank Hickey, who on his postcast debut last week told us that Almanzor was a near certainty. How much did you have on, Frank? Tell us the exact amount.
I can't. My fiance would.
Oh, she's listening now, is she?
Yeah, she'd probably listening. All right.
Really?
The only thing is, it'd probably save me a lot of money on the wedding if I did tell her how much.
Could she not become your fiance if you actually fessed up to just how much you had on the horse?
He'd be in doubt. All right, I'd say.
You had a decent bet, let's just say, yeah?
A good bet, yeah.
Is she in the room with you now, Frank?
Oh no, she's not. But she'll want to listen in for a bit.
I once
later.
did one of these at home on the phone, and Bruce asked me how much I had on, and I'm trying to talk live without getting round it.
You're safe to say 20 quid.
Yeah,
Excellent.
exactly.
So you had 20 euros on Almanzor. Never in doubt, was it, that one, Frank?
Oh, he was very impressive, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He
good
certainly was. Well done. Excellent. So we've got the judges and we've got the racing as well. We've got some fantastic stuff. There is something for absolutely everybody this weekend. We've got Doncaster, Racing Post Trophy. Got some good stuff at Newbury. Cheltenham, that's great to have that back. And then also on Sunday, what a fantastic race the Old Roan Chase is. And there's also some decent fare at Leopardstown. So we will start with the Racing Post Trophy. It takes place over a mile at Doncaster, 3:50 on Saturday. We will be there, won't we, Kills?
We will indeed.
You're looking all smart. You're going up tonight, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm going up tonight. Yeah, normal plan is go in the Crown Hotel in Bawtry, where I promised myself that I won't drink too much, and then I stay in a bar till about 4 o'clock in the morning and spend the whole of Racing Post Trophy Day feeling as sick as a pig. But
I'll tell you
I'll do
what,
my
lads. I went to collect, because he goes out on the Friday night. I drove up on Saturday morning. I collected him and a few others from the Crown Hotel last week, and we drove about 3 miles to the course. Honestly, and we had the windows down because it was chucking it down. I think if I'd been pulled over, I would have been breathalyzed and I would have been positive. I've never known anything like it.
are you picking us up tomorrow?
I don't know. We'll do that off air. I'm sure
right,
people
okay.
don't need to know that. What they do need to know is what's the betting and who's going to win the Racing Post Trophy. So, Frank, you oblige with the betting.
It's even money. Yucatan, 5-1 Rivet, 8-1 Sir Dancelot, 10-1 Salouin, 12-1 Contraposto, and 14-1 Bar.
I know that Aidan O'Brien has shown that he's not a bad trainer this year. I think he's had 3 1-2s in Group 1s in Britain already. But this Yucatan's a crap price and it kills rubbish value.
Well, it's funny. I mean, I actually tipped him in the Weekender, and he was 5-1 when I tipped it. But by the Wednesday morning when the Weekender came out, the price had already gone overnight on the Tuesday. Obviously,
Damn those printers.
Obviously, plenty of people knew. Yeah, it was nothing to do with me, unfortunately. Plenty of people obviously knew that previous favourite Capri was not going to run. And Yucatan was the same price as Rivet when Capri was in the race, and now he's even money, and Rivet has barely moved in price. It is a crazy price. There's obviously a lot of confidence behind him. I did like the way he shaped in the Beresford, and I think he'll prefer better ground. Would I back him at even money? No.
Okay, who will you bet?
I don't know. I'm going to try and find something to beat him. I think Rivet is the one most likely to, but I wasn't particularly happy with the way he ran at Newmarket. He was a big drifter that day. I don't know whether people thought he didn't handle the track going down. But
Zany makes some comments. I think something about him being heavy-shouldered or heavy-topped or something, and he would prefer a flat track.
That wasn't his
down.
running, and obviously he's got some Donny form, having won the Champagne. So he's the one I think most likely to win. I don't think Sir Dancelot's got much chance of staying. And I can't really see much against the rest. Well, we don't know. Obviously, we've got these maiden winners in here that could improve and be anything. And apparently, Brian Meehan really likes Raheen House, and he sprung the odd upset in this before, Crowded House, a few years ago. But I think if there's a danger to Yucatan, it'd be Rivet.
I tell you what, I don't want to slag off her own race, but just looking at the form figures, given it's a Group 1-2, there's not many ones in those form figures, are there?
There aren't, but I mean, sometimes you think a race is disappointing on paper and then it throws up a real top-class horse.
Well, if you look in the last 10 years, we've had St Nicholas Abbey, we've had Camelot, we've had Kingston Hill authorised. So
yeah, when it authorised, everyone was saying, "How did that win?" It was 33-1. But it comes out and wins the Dante, the Derby, and other Group 1s, and so you don't know.
So everyone who's tuned in, you've been absolutely pissing winners all over the place on these postcasts. They've tuned in. The first race we get to, you say you don't know who's going to win. Is there more to come?
Oh God, there's a load more to come. I promise you that. But I mean, this is not for me.
Okay, fine. We'll get to when you do fancy him. DJ, what do you think of this race? Do you think Yucatan's a poor favourite?
Do we call it? Excuse me. Do we call it a coincidence that number 2 on your race card is called Brutal? I think that probably sums up the race. And by process of elimination, I think Yucatan is the one. I was the one tasked with ringing Aidan O'Brien on Wednesday when this gamble began to form, and rang him, had a good chat with him. And the impression I got was that this Yucatan has improved no end since it's run in the Beresford. He just said, and every piece of work has just got better and better and better. And its form actually tells you that, because it was 7th first time out to Utah in the maiden, then it beat the disappointing Taj Mahal next time, and then he stepped up again, and by the sounds of things, that was the 25th of September, so you're talking about roughly a month ago. By the sounds of things, he's improved a hell of a lot since that, and even if you go into that Beresford form, Exemplar was 3rd, beating 3/4 of a length. I'd say he's a pretty useful tool, Exemplar, and there were 16 lengths clear of the 4th, Eagle Spirit, who's rated 90. There was another 4.5 lengths back to Latin Beat, so a horse rated 93 was beaten 20 lengths. So I know the first 3 home were pretty close together with Capri, Yucatan and Exemplar, but I think the 3 of them could all be potentially Group 1 performers. And look, as Paul said, the price is ridiculous, but I think he's the most likely winner. I wouldn't be one bit surprised if it was another 1-2 for Aidan O'Brien either, because I think the Anvil...
Well, I was going to ask you that. What did he say about the Anvil? I think the Anvil's the value here.
Well, I was going through it and I was trying to get off him whether Capri would run or not. And, he was lukewarm about it. He didn't say whether he would run, he didn't say whether he wouldn't run, but he couldn't confirm that Capri definitely would or wouldn't run, whereas Yucatan was a definite and the Anvil was a definite. And he was the second one. He said to me, he thinks there is probably a bit more improvement to come from the Anvil. I thought it ran okay the last day. Didn't do anything out of the ordinary in that autumn stakes, but it was beaten 4 lengths, best solution won it. I just think it's such a poor race, and sorry, Bruce, I know I shouldn't be saying this about the Racing Post trophy, but...
We'll tell it as it is.
Yeah, I think the Anvil could be placed,
You
he's
can't
still
knock
amazing.
the Anvil, can you?
No. So, I think it could be a 1-2 for Aidan. I'd be surprised if Yucatan was beaten, but it's evens, like.
What do you think, Frank? You going to go and try and get this favourite?
I think he's very short at the moment. Like obviously the word was out that Capri was a doubt because we got absolutely filled in Tuesday evening into Wednesday morning. It was the only horse they wanted to know about. But I'd be surprised if he's not a bigger price this afternoon.
What do you think will happen, mate?
I was looking through it there, and the past 10 years, there's only 2 horses were beaten last time out and went on to win this race, which wouldn't be a great stat when you consider he was beaten last time out.
There's only qualifiers, is there?
There's not many, so I was scratching around to find something, and it's got an awful lot to find, but that Contrapasto is guaranteed to get a mile. It's a lot to find. It was second behind Rivet at York and that good main when it stayed on well over 7. As a token suggestion, I've had a little bit each way in him.
What price are you Contrapasto?
We're 12 to 1.
12 to 1 there. Frankie going for it. Okay, right. What else have we got on the Donny card? The 205 is the listed race. 6 furlongs, decent enough race. That Kills, how's it going to be run?
What was the one I liked in this? Already forgot. Oh yeah, Hilario. Very, very interesting horse. Ran first time out of Sandown, finished 7th. Very weak in the market. Suddenly he opens up at 8 to 1 next time at Kempston. Smashed into 7 to 2. Just gets up to be a reasonable horse of Godolphin's called Dubai One. Now, he got in a little bit of trouble and he really quickened up. He quickened up like a potentially decent sprinter. And you go and have a look at his pedigree. He's a half-brother to Deacon Blues and the Tin Man.
Wow.
So I think on a straight track and a track that really does suit horses coming from behind in sprints as well, he's going to go very, very, very well here.
Could be a half decent price, couldn't he?
Yeah, he could be. I mean, he was. I wouldn't be looking at that RPR figure that we've got on there because it only takes into account the turf run, not the all-weather run, until they do it. But I think that he looked like a really decent horse, and obviously he's got 2 half brothers that have won the Champions Sprint at Ascot, so he's definitely one to keep an eye on.
Do you like anything else at Donny?
I like loads.
Go on then.
I've
Crack on.
better go through the card now.
Okay.
Right, opening race of 135. There's a couple of interesting 3-year-olds in here. One of them, Brian Meehan's Malmusa, who I have been watching. She is enormous when running against her own sex. Quite interesting to see what she looks like running against some 6-year-old geldings. I think she'll
You'll be getting drunk
improving.
in our hospitality box. You won't be down the paddock tonight, will you?
That's very true. I think she's improving, but I do like the look of Dance King. It's likely to be a decent each-way price. Fell out of the traps last time at York. Made some really nice late headway under Rachel Richardson, who rides again. He's actually a couple of pounds lower than when winning early in the season, so I think he's in good nick and probably well handicapped too.
Yep. 240.
240 is one of these really hard sprints,
Okay,
as always. But no, we've still got one. My favourite type of race, isn't it? Right, a moment of madness. Good form earlier in the season, finished, then lost it a bit, got gelded, and ran at Ascot, finished 6th in a good race at Ascot. Lasted a lot longer than most horses do at Ascot when they try and make the running. And the fact that he also, that was the first time he'd ever shown his form on soft ground as well. So I think the ground was suit. This race has been won by some nice 3-year-olds in the past. Jack Dexter won it, Hoofit won it. So I think it could be quite an interesting one there.
Yep. 315.
315.
The bet through the Racing Post app
through
handicap.
The Racing Post app handicap. Don't back this one because it'll win. Hugo Palmer's To Be Wild, quite interesting. Just a maiden winner at Foss last, but reportedly held in very, very high regard. Got Josie G on it, claiming 3. That'll do for me.
As your previous tip.
Yeah. You can't go far wrong with her. She's very, very good.
What about the Crown Hotel Portree Apprentice dog?
No, I found that the hardest one.
Okay.
Hardest one.
5 o'clock. Anything there?
Yeah, 5 o'clock. Novo Man. This should win. I think it was desperately unlucky at Pontefract last time. Got into some trouble. If you take the winner got a clear run in front and had gone clear by the time he got out. If you take him out of the race, he's quickened up and gone miles clear of the rest and probably would have gone up £10. So I'd say Nova Man, he will stay 7 furlongs because he won over the trip already. It'd be very hard to beat.
And what about the Join Racing Post Members Club Condition Stakes at 5:35?
Right, last race, Sovereign Debt is well clear on the ratings, with the possible exception of Kimmerella, who won't
Never wins though, does he?
No,
Sovereign
doesn't.
Debt?
And Kimmerella won't stay 7 furlongs. I've got a sneak fancy for Silent Attack, who ran well in Turkey last time, and I think it'll probably go quite well.
Okay, David, have you got anything to add to that on the Doncaster undercard?
No, the only one I was fancying was Timeless Flight in the 205. I know Paul fancied Hilario, but just the last day it won at Kempton, I thought it was a fair performance because it was one of them nights where everything that made the running or was up at the pace won, and he was held up off the pace by William Buick. And even the time before that, when he won its maiden at York, won by 3/4 of a length, but God, it was clear throughout the final furlong was value for well more than the winning margin. Rated 89, I'd say he's a bit better than that. I'd say he'd be right in the mix in the 205 Timeless Flight.
Frank, like anything at Donny?
The 315. I thought UAE Prince may have got in a little bit lightly off 93.
Yeah, I'd second that.
That's very interesting you say that, because I sat next to Roger Varian last Friday at dinner, and he was very, very keen. He was looking to get a run there. He's done quite well since Leicester, so that's really interesting that you say that.
16s for the Derby before his first.
I backed him.
We were actually getting we were getting a lot of requests for him for the Derby, so we were really interested to see how he got on Leicester, and we were a bit disappointed when he came third.
It was a good race, though, wasn't it? It's Imperial Monarch and Ulysses, wasn't it?
It was
Imperial Aviator
and Ulysses.
Yeah.
So like, even when you look at the last run at Leicester when he broke his maiden, he had Arthur McBride behind, who went to Goodwood and won off 78, I think. And he didn't even get a smack of the whip that day. So I think 93 is very lenient, and I'd be very keen on his chances.
Yeah, last 5 runnings, I think, have all been won by 3-year-olds as well. They get to wait for age allowance.
So we're all going for that, and is that
No, I'm going for To Be Wild, because I think he's just as promising.
3-1 to us. Righty-ho, Newbury then. What have we got? 145. It used to be called the Horace Hill. We don't mind races when they're renamed for a good cause like this. The Worthington's Alzheimer's Society Stakes, a Group 3 over 7 furlongs, and obviously has thrown up all sorts of good horses in the past. And you've got a show of betting for us, Frank, haven't you?
It's 9-2 Rodani, 13-2 Executive Force, 7-1 Colibri, 8-1 Eaton Square, 10-1 City of Joy and the Grape Escape, and 11-1 Bar.
And given how much we've got to get through today, chaps, we do need to be very concise with our reasoning. Bold with our tips and concise with our reasoning. Keels?
Yeah,
who
quite
and why?
like another Hugo horse here, Colibri. Fair form in a couple of maidens to start with, finished fourth. Second time, and then he won a race at Brighton. Now, the race at Brighton was absolute rubbish, but he looked to relish the easy ground there, and he won by miles. I think he's probably going forward at the right time.
Are we getting rain this weekend?
It's good to soft there already, so plenty of dew, so it'll still be easy in the ground there.
Okay, David, anything here?
Oh, no, I'm sticking with Rodani, Bruce. Stumbled at a crucial stage. We're still travelling well the last day for Silvestre at Newmarket. Stumbled badly. I thought it was definitely going to play a part in that. Now, he was still last or second last at the time, but just stumbled and didn't get banned. Silvestre was quite easy on him after that. But the form of the Flying Scotsman before that won at Doncaster has worked out really well. Larchmont Lad was third and has won since. He should be very hard to beat. I still think he's a good colt.
Who do you like, Frankie?
David's beat me to it. I thought the same. I thought Rodani, you could put a line through that Autumn Stakes run and go back to the Doncaster run before it. I think he's the one to beat here.
Okay, excellent. The 220, the Worthington's OCSL Stakes. What that used to be called? Oh, the St Simon. Of course it did, yeah. Okay, how do you bet, Frank?
9-2 Memorial Day, 13-2 King's Feet, 13-2 Frontiersman, 7-1 Western Hymn, 15-2 Mountain Bell, 10-1 Sunbal, and 11-1 Bar.
Keels?
Yeah, I was really impressed with Frontiersman the other day at Newmarket last month. I put him up. I expected him to be about 5-1, and he was smashed off the balls. Went off 11-8, absolutely cantered home. Now, he's probably a little bit short in the market considering his official rating compared to some of these, but he is a half brother to Derby winner Australia, and he really did look the part, and I'm quite keen on him.
Excellent. DJ?
No, fancy nothing in it, Bruce.
FH, if we're sticking to initials.
I thought Mountain Bell was a little bit interesting. Ralph Becker won it 2013 with, what did he win it with again? Oh, sorry.
That's all right, don't worry.
Cubanita.
That was it, Cubanita.
Yeah.
Good knowledge, David.
But she was third in the Linkfield Oaks trial, which was a little bit disappointing at the time, but then it was Architecture and Seventh Heaven ahead of her, and that's worked out to be quite decent form. She won a listed race at Chester last time where Desert Encounter kind of threw it away, but she stayed on really strong at the end. I thought a big field here, and if they went a bit of a pace, getting the weight, she's getting 15 pounds off King's Feet, and 10 pounds off the rest. Bar Frontiers.
What price is she?
She's 15-2.
Oh.
I thought she had an each way chance.
Definitely. You're learning, Frank.
Yeah, I
the
thought
one
she
thing,
would've won that.
one thing you've got to do in life is back Rafe Beckett horses. His profit loss this century is plus, and this season absolutely fantastic. He's the king.
I thought she'd have won that race against Desert Encounter anyway. I know he's a bit strange, but I thought she was very strong at the end. I agree with that. Good race for fillies this as well. Just slightly concerned that she might need the ground as deep as Cubanita did.
That's fair enough, but yeah, I just thought getting the weight, she was a little bit interesting.
Yeah.
Righty-ho, Jumps fans, we got something for you just coming up.
Here's Paddy Power's latest horse racing offer. It's money back as a free bet if your horse finishes second to the SP5 at one meeting every day this month. Paddy Power, you're welcome. Max free bet £25, 18 plus. Please gamble responsibly.
Hi there, it's Bruce Millington, it's Paul Keeley, it's David Jennings, and it's Paddy Power's Frank Hickey. And we are looking at Cheltenham on Saturday. It's their first Saturday card of the new Jump season. Very competitive, not necessarily star-studded. I think if you're looking for clues, Kills, there's a couple of novices that are quite interesting. Shantou Village will obviously be interesting to see how he gets on over the largest.
Too star-studded
No,
at
of course
this
you
time
can't.
of year, can you?
Of course you
There's
can't.
some
But
decent horses running.
very competitive, very decent. We'll start with the 150, the first race, the Randox Handicap Chase. And I believe, Kills, that you've uncovered a bit of a stat here about
I know,
one of the runners.
And then taken leave of my senses and tipped it anyway. Tim Vaughan's horse has actually been running really well of late. I mean, he didn't pull off the big coup that they were talking about at Utoxeter the other day, but But bucking the trend, I thought was quite interesting. And I had a look at Tim Bourne. I thought I do know in the back of my mind that he hasn't got the greatest record at Cheltenham. And my race form interactive only goes back to 2007. But I did a quick search, and he's 0 from 137, I think it was, at Cheltenham since then. He's had a few seconds, including one at 66 to 1, but he just hasn't got one past the winning line.
He's due one then, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, funny enough, Kim Bailey had a similar stat until last year, and then he banged in a winner. So I mean, they can get one. Anyway, Bucking the Trend just looked like a horse that was a chaser that was really improving at the end of last season. And obviously, when they've had a break, you worry about whether that improvement continues. But he came out. He came out at the beginning of this month, ran over hurdles, and ran his best ever race over hurdles. So I think he's still going forward, and I think if he's going to break the duck, if he's going to buck the trend, it'll be with Bucking the Trend.
Good stuff, DJ. Who do you like here?
It's a slight preference for Racing Pulse for Jonathan Moore, who's doing unbelievably for Rebecca Curtis, another winner during the week. And just chatting to him about Racing Pulse, I think he's been working quite well. Was a very decent hurdler, second. I seen you at midnight at Musselburgh early on over hurdles. And
At where?
At Musselburgh?
Musselburgh? Where's that? Musselburgh.
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 What did I say?
Musselburgh.
Oh, yeah. I must change that. I'll have to change that. Yeah. Yeah, in that Scottish venue anyway, back when it was over hurdles. And I think he's a good jumper. And I always thought he was going to be a better chaser than he was a hurdler. And just with her horses running so well, last year they were so in and out. I think Racing Pulse is a great chance off 136.
It's a shame. I was going to say David would have found it easy with the old name, but he would have called it Edinburgh, wouldn't he?
Yeah, exactly.
When did they change that? Edinburgh to Musselburgh?
Oh, God, years ago, wasn't it? Years ago.
You got a view in this one?
Pronounce Musselburgh there?
No, Musselburgh.
Musselburgh.
Yeah,
like
kind of
Middlesbrough.
like, instead of a
exactly.
wonder bra, a Musselburgh, I guess, for very well-built women. Frank Hickey, what have you got here?
I'm going to go at one that's probably going to be a big price. Horse called Seafood. It's only on its third run for Dr. Newland, and it's been dropped £7. It's coming over to him now. On the whole, it's been disappointing. It's fallen at Kempton and been well beaten at Mark Raisin, but it was hampered there. And I do think they believe they can get a race out of this horse, and off a mark of 131, I think on good ground at Cheltenham, it might be the time to catch him.
You sense a plot, do you here, Frank?
I think it might go better than its price will imply, but I'll be having a small few quid in them each way, I think.
Okay, another tricky test at 3:30. It's the Randox Health Handicap Chase, a 2-miler. Kills, who do you like here?
Yeah, tough. The Newland horse Boone Doomer absolutely hacked up in this race last year, and I don't think he's much higher in the weights now. But Fox Norton, Grade 2 winner over hurdles, had a really good first season over fences last year, especially given the division he was in with Duvan and the likes, and he was third in the Arkle. One on his last start. I think a mark of 146 is fair. He has gone well fresh. He's decent on decent ground, so I think he's got plenty in his favour.
Fox Norton for Kills. Who for you, David Jennings?
It's a funny sort of race, Bruce, because a lot of these either are trained in Ireland or were trained in Ireland. You've got Devil's Bride, who's now moved to Henry de Bromhead, thinks it needs further. Bunduma used to be trained in Ireland. Savello used to be trained in Ireland. Rock the World is trained by Jessica Harrington, but it's one, and Mr. 51 is obviously Jessica Harrington as well. But I think the best handicapped horse in the race is potentially Sizing Platinum, who has left Henry de Bromhead along with all the Potts horses and joined Colin Tizard. And I actually backed this horse to win the Grade 1 Ryanair Novice or Gold Cup, I think it's called, in Fairyhouse last year. So I backed it to win a Grade 1. So I obviously think it's better than 140 horse. The wheels
you were wrong though, weren't you?
I was completely wrong, although he was travelling quite well. He was travelling quite well when he came down. And I remember talking to Henry before that race, and he thought he was a genuine Grade 1 horse. And the wheels have completely come off since he ran the 2 shockers. But he didn't, I know I said he ran 2 shockers. I didn't think he ran an absolute shocker in the Galway Plate. I thought he travelled well. 140 for his debut with Colin Tizard. Look, he's getting £4 off Mr. 51. He's a better horse than Mr. 51. He's getting a lot of weight from Rock the World. I would say he's as good a horse, if not better, than Rock the World. So off 140, I think Sizing Platinum for me.
What do you think, Frank?
I'm with Paul here. I think Fox Norton's got a great chance of 146. Even going back to when he was second to Garda Victoire over course and distance, he was only beaten 2.5 lengths, but for a lot of the way there, it looked like he was going to
give him weight as well, wasn't he? Yeah.
He was, yeah. So I think 146 is very fair, and I'd be keen enough on him.
Okay, Kills, anything else at Cheltenham before we do our bets of the day?
Yeah, I think Pete the Pear might go quite well in the Pertemps Handicap hurdle final. He's a winner last time out.
The final? The qualifier.
The qualifier. Yeah. He was a winner at Haydock in his last season. Now he wouldn't have won the race because Emerging Force was coming through to win. But he's a very good horse, Emerging Force. Made a really good chase debut not so long ago as well. And Peter Pear, if he hadn't, if Emerging Force hadn't been in there, he'd have gone up a fair bit more than the £4 he went up. So I know he's a couple of pound out of the handicap, but I think he's got a decent race in him.
Rightio, before we get the bets of the day, David, anything at Punchestown you like?
Yeah, it's a really interesting card at Punchestown. I suppose most people will be looking out for the chasing debut of Identity Thief, last year's fighting fifth hurdle winner, who goes in the 3:35 over 2 miles. And interesting, Henry loves producing his best novices to run at Punchestown first time out. I think he did so with Sizing Europe and he did so with Sizing John. So it's interesting that Identity Thief goes here. And bizarrely, well, not bizarrely, I suppose, but even as much interest to me is Disco, who runs in the 4:10, who I think could make a smashing chaser for Noel Meade. Both of them will be quite short in the betting, but I'd imagine that both of them will win. So they're the two probably. It's not really a betting card as such, but I think they're the two. They both should be Grade 1 horses over fences, so it'll be interesting to see. And there's just one other one to look out for in the 2:30, right down at the bottom, Stand Up and Fight for Enda Bulger. I did the analysis today. This horse made its debut at Navan. It was second to the Barrowman, who went on to run in the Grade 1 hurdle at the Punchestown Festival, and he was so eye-catching that day. My God, he was second. First time out for Enda Bulger, he's not going to be tuned up for that. And I just think it's obviously owned by JP, so you'd love to see a bit of money for tomorrow. But I'd imagine he's a pretty decent horse. He's only a 4-year-old, so if there's any money for Stand Up and Fight in 2:30, he should win.
When you go on holiday, David, are you able to dive underground for long periods? Because you seem to be able to talk for about 2 minutes without drawing breath. You must have some pair of lungs on you, mate. I'm very impressed.
I don't know whether to take that as a compliment.
It's absolutely meant to be as a compliment, mate. It's superb.
Is it another way of saying shut up?
No, not at all. Not at all. I love it when you're in full cry. I'm talking of Identity Thief, by the way. That was getting a big up on the Jump Season Postcast, which we did earlier this week, which features Tom Siegel and Patrick Mullins as well. And there was some really interesting stuff. So do try and check that one out. That is available everywhere. Frank, have you got anything for us at Punchestown?
Yeah, I'm really interested in seeing Stretching the Truth over hurdles. Noel Meade had a very quiet season last year by his standards, particularly in bumpers where he'd normally excel. I think he's normally in around 20% strike rate, and last year was down around 3 or 4%. But this horse went to the Punchestown Festival and was backed off the boards, went off 13-8 and absolutely hacked up. I think he's one who's going to be a very decent hurdler this year. He'll probably make his mark in a far better race than this, and I'm interested to see how he goes.
Tell us again the name of the horse and the race, because my ears pricked up halfway through that.
It's Stretching the Truth in the 1:55.
Great stuff. OK, let's get the best bets for Saturday.
This will not be beaten.
Kills, last week you absolutely brought the house down at Ascot with Yufton as your best bet of the week. We had about 50 colleagues in a particular bar down in Ascot, and you went down and absolutely virtually got everyone in a headlock and forced them to back it. The noise that came out when Yufton won was fantastic. So who are you going to follow up with?
Yeah, you should have seen the state of me when it was winning as well. I think I'm going to go Novo Man in the 5 o'clock at Doncaster. I think he might just be different class. And I think, he's not going to be that short in a race that looks competitive on paper.
David Jennings.
I'm going to give Rob Watson another one of these clips that he can use for these best bets. I will be very, 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 very disappointed if Sco Royal doesn't win the 3 o'clock at Cheltenham. For a couple of reasons. I'll say them really quick. As you know, I can talk really quick, Bruce. But this Jubal Faro for Alan King, who was 2 horse in the race, is rated £3 better than Sco Royal. That's completely wrong. Sco Royal is a much better horse than Jubal Faro, and he says as much in a stable tour. His horses were wrong in the spring last year, and Sco Royal actually travelled quite well in the Triumph Hurdle, and he travelled quite well at Aintree, but they weren't finishing out their races. I think he beat Adrian de Pont, who's likely to be favoured for this, fair and square last year in December. I mean, there was no excuses. I backed Adrian de Pont that day, and there was absolutely no excuses. Sco Royal was a better horse, had a better turn of foot, and is just better than him. He's getting £4 off him this time. He runs well fresh.
OK, so this is the quick version of why we should back it. Give us the long version now, David.
Yeah, no, this horse wins, Bruce. I would strongly advise you to back Sco Royal, Bruce.
Rightio,
he's a good horse.
OK. Jesus Christ. Let's go on, Danny. Poor old Aoife. Who do you like, Frank? Bet of the day?
2:25 Cheltenham, Holstone. I think he'll win.
Excellent, good lad. Right, we'll be back looking at some great Sunday action.
Here's Paddy Power's latest horse racing offer. It's money back as a free bet if your horse finishes second to the SP5 at one meeting every day this month. Paddy Power, you're welcome. Max free bet £25, 18 plus. Please gamble responsibly.
Hi there, Bruce Millington, Paul Keeley, David Jennings, and from Paddy Power, Frank Hickey. We're looking ahead to a great Sunday. Really, really good stuff. Top flat action at Leopardstown, but first Aintree. And if you don't like the 350, the 188 bet Monet's Garden Old Roan Handicap Chase, you don't like racing. Look at it. Smad Place, Cider Grugy, God's Own, Vibrado, Valtat, Three Musketeers, Royal Regatta, Third Intention, 7 runners. Shame we haven't got each way, but what a race. Paul Keeley, who wins?
Hopefully Three Musketeers. I think he's a horse that Dan Skelton's always thought an awful lot of. He's still very young, only a 6-year-old, had a good first season over fences. I think he's going to end up going 3 mile probably, but I think this is his trip. He's getting a fair amount of weight from horses that, you know, they are decent, but they're probably a bit more exposed than he is. I think he's probably a fair bet. He's near favourite anyway, isn't he, Frank?
He is 3-1-5.
3-1-5. What else have you got for us by way of a show?
2 seconds there. I'll just have to refresh because
I think God's Own's vying for favouritism, isn't he?
I think God's Own's 130 and Vibrato Valtat was 9-2. Is he still in that?
Yeah, 9-2. 6 Royal Regatta, 8 Third Intention, 9 Cider Grugy, 10 Smad Place. How much has weight Smad Place got? 16 stone. Smad Place in
It's not easy to win. It's not easy to win a handicap of 167, is it? And he's turning 10 in January. And it's 2.5 mile. He's got some form over it, but he obviously stays 3.25 mile very well too. So you'd have to worry a little bit about trip.
Fair enough. You like Three Musketeers. Who do you like, David Jennings?
I think this is Verbato Valtat's Gold Cup. I don't think he can win a Grade 1. I think 2.5 miles around Aintree is perfect for him. He goes well fresh. Won the Holland Gold Cup last year. Had God's Own behind that day. I think this is the time to catch Verbato Valtat. He mightn't win again for the rest of the season, but I think he'll win on Sunday.
Frank, who do you think will win?
I thought Three Musketeers was well handicapped, but I was just worried that he got beaten on his chase debut at Huntington when he kind of needed it last year. I'm just afraid he might need the run.
Maybe they've learnt from that.
Yeah, but this race is worth 65 grand. That one was probably only worth 5, wasn't it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just thought Third Intention was a little bit interesting. He's dropped to a mark of 150. I think he was placed in the top off 157. He'll travel well. He's getting weight from everyone. I thought he's probably a big price.
So Third Intention for you. Jolly good. Right, let's look at the 245. It's a handicap chase, 3 miles and 1 furlong. Keels got a particularly...
Well, mate, it's a veterans race.
Oh, God, yes, of course it's a veterans race. And there's a 13-year-old in, so presumably you'll be tipping that. Do you think 10-year-olds are veterans? Do you think that's fair enough? 10? I suppose they're about to be 11, aren't they?
They're veterans in the autumn. I wouldn't necessarily say they're veterans in the spring. But
how many of these would you have backed in your life?
Oh, every single one, without a shadow of a doubt. Several occasions. And quite a few of them will be getting some more, won't they?
Who are you going to like? Who are you going to be lumping on here?
Right, well, Double Ross actually won pretty well first time up. But I got a little bit of a feeling for Bailey's Concerto. Now, he's won 2 races in the summer, but he didn't run particularly well at all in either of them. But he's down to a mark of 129. He has run very, very well at Aintree the three times that he's run there. So I think off a very low weight, he could go well.
David, did Eastlake do you a favour once? Am I right?
He did once upon a time.
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell he's doing running
2
over
miles,
3.
though, yeah.
Yeah. I can't see him staying. God, not a hope. I don't think he's ever ran over that far, has he?
Well, you never know then, do you? There might just be... It might be what he's been crying out for. Who's that flat horse who used to run in sprints and the one that Jeremy Gask trains? Trending?
No.
Remember Trending?
Oh, Trending, yeah.
They said he was winning over 5 furlongs until he was about 16, and then he started winning over 1 mile and 7.
Well, there was one that was running in Cartmel hurdles, wasn't it? And then ended up winning the King's Stand, didn't it? Remember years ago.
So you never know. It might be that this is part of a long old plan.
Yeah. I can't see him staying. I'd be shocked if he's ran over 2 mile 5. But anyway, I fancy Masters Hill, who, as you said earlier about our 10-year-olds veterans. Masters Hill is relatively lightly raced in comparison to most of these. I think he's had maybe 14 or 15 starts over fences, and he's quite consistent. I thought he ran well in the Scottish National. I think he made most of the running, and I think he was only collared kind of turning into the home straight. That was off 140. I think a track like Aintree is perfect for him, and I think he's less exposed than most of these who are fully exposed. Masters Hill for me, Bruce.
Who for you, Frank?
Forgotten Gold for me. Tom George's horses aren't running too bad at the moment. He won one of these Veteran Chase at Ascot in April by 8 lengths. Now he's £9 higher here, but he went close off a mark of 139 at Cheltenham in April. He's won fresh last year at Wincanton. I think he can go close here.
Frank, do you make money out of betting?
We won about 6 figures about 4 weeks
Well, yeah,
ago.
but apart from that, and generally speaking, what price would you be on January 1 to end up the year in front?
Odds on anyway.
Good. It does sound like a judge, Frank,
Yeah,
doesn't it?
yeah, it does,
Makes
yeah.
a very good
Yeah.
case. Okay, so we
more
done at
disciplined
Aintree?
than we are,
Well,
aren't we?
quite, yeah. Are you done at
Not at
Aintree?
all.
Anyone?
Just a really well handicapped horse in the 210. The top weight scooped the pot. He's run off 124. He's much better than that. Kieran Gettins takes off £3 as well. If he's, again, another JP horse, if he's backed, I'd say it'd be very hard to beat.
Frank, you got anything else at Aintree?
I've won the 315. It's another Dr. Newland horse. Duke Street, he stepped up to 2-3 in Newbury and he won by 8 lengths very easy off a mark of 125. He went back to Sandown, then back at 2 miles and he was beaten, but I think he needs a trip. I think a mark of 135 underestimates him, and I think he'll prove to be far better come the end of the year than that mark.
What about you, Chad?
No, I was going to say Duke Street as well, funnily enough. I backed him that day at Newbury. He's obviously a young horse and got more in him. Bywise is running in that race.
I know, yeah, that would be good, wouldn't it?
Won't make any mistakes over hurdles.
No, of course not. No, he'd do all right, wouldn't he? Get in the frame, one for the place spot.
He could actually run well if he's fit, but obviously he's being prepared for Paddy Power Day, you'd have thought.
But Duke Street is the one to back there, is it, chaps? Righty-ho, let's turn our attention to Leopardstown and some listed and group action, David. Will you be there, grafting away for us?
I think so, yeah. I think so.
Has he not done the rota yet?
I have a big football final on Saturday, so much will depend on that.
What do you mean, a big football final on Saturday? I don't understand what that means.
Sorry, a big Gaelic. I play for a team in Meath.
You play?
Yeah, I play, yeah.
God,
yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
What are they called?
Dundee. And we're in an intermediate final against St. It's a replay. The final was last Sunday and we drew. And their best player got sent off after 30 seconds. So we had an extra man for the whole game. We only drew. But the replay is Saturday. So depending on whether we win or lose will determine much about Leopardstown, I'd say.
How many strides are you allowed to travel before you have to bounce the ball or kick it
4.
into your own hand? Only 4?
4, yeah. You have to solo or hop it after 4, yeah.
All right. What position do you play?
Goalkeeper.
Do you?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
Are you good?
Yeah. I'm okay, yeah.
What's
okay.
better, being a goalkeeper in Gaelic football or a goalkeeper in hurling?
I
mean, the hurling goalkeeper just seems like the worst job in sport.
Impossible.
Basically, you just get these missiles absolutely slammed at you about 200 miles an hour, and you've got a hockey stick to try and stop it with.
Right, here's a quick quiz question for you, Bruce. Now, if you get this, I'll be very impressed.
Okay.
What is the name of the ball they play with in hurling called?
A slitter.
Oh, well done.
Thank you very
I
much.
was expecting you to get that.
All right, Kills, what's the name of the small rectangle in front of the goal in Gaelic football?
No idea.
The small rectangle. Is that right, David? It is,
square.
isn't it?
The what?
This is the small rectangle, isn't it? That's what they call it, isn't it?
The square.
Oh, it's the square. I thought it was the small
well, there you
rectangle.
go.
Is there not one called that?
Well, if it's called a square, if somebody stands inside it's called a square. Bizarrely, it's a rectangle, but it's called a square. It makes no sense.
Well, I remember when I went to Crow Park for that game once. I asked someone what you call the small rectangle. He goes, the small rectangle.
No,
So,
but
fair enough.
There's a rule in Gaelic football where if you get a free and an opposition player is standing inside that, if they're inside it before the ball arrives, it's called a square ball. So they're in the square, even though it's a rectangle.
I should have stopped at the
quite
slitter
strange.
while I was going well. Right, 2:35, the Trigo Stakes, named after the Somerset all-rounder, no doubt. Who wins it?
It's interesting because Zorak is back here, unbeaten, beat Endless Drama. Hasn't ran since, I think, April 2015, so it's been off for a hell of a long time. But the form of that 2000 Guineas trial obviously worked out well because it beat Endless Drama. It's hard to believe that Dermot has decided to bring it back after whatever 560 days, I think it is, to run in a listed race. But he's obviously hoping that it'll train on next season. The market will reveal plenty here. Zorak should be head and shoulders above these, and if it's well odds on, it'll win. Round 2 is the big danger, who bounced back to form in a handicap at Cork the last day. But look, Zorak, if he has 3 legs even, he'll probably win this.
Zorak for you, Frank, as well?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
And in the 305, the Killavullen Stakes, it's a Group 3.
That's
Any
a cracker.
stars in here?
Yeah, this is a cracker. There's a couple in here. I thought Making Light was very impressive last time at Limerick, but the one who was probably even more impressive was Territory for Ger Lyons. Was absolutely hammered in the market before it's made its debut at Naas. I thought it was impressive that day. It won by 2 3/4 lengths, but it looked the winner the whole way, travelled well, found plenty for pressure. And Ger has got some really good 2-year-olds this season, and this is probably in the top 3 anyway. I think Territory will probably be hard to beat.
DJ, who would you rather own, the winner of the Racing Post Trophy or the winner of the Killavullen Stakes?
Probably Yucatan will probably win the Racing Post Trophy, so probably him.
Okay, Frank, who do you think will win the Killavullen?
We got fairly well filled in on Holistic Approach when he made his debut at the Curragh. The second that day, Ice Canyon. Now, he was pretty exposed, but he's rated 90, and to run to a mark, he's beaten him half a length, so to run to a mark over 90 on debut is quite good. I thought he'd be difficult to beat, even though I do think Ger Lyons' horse sets a fairly decent standard as well. But it's a Holistic Approach for me.
Are you chipping in on the
No,
chat, or are you taking it easy? Okay, anything else on the card, chap? Start with you, DJ.
Just one, Bruce. I'll keep it short and sweet. I think
right. I'm just going to put the kettle on. How many sugars, kids?
It's drawn 18, but I think All Souls for Edward O'Grady, who has a terrific record on the flat this season. I think he's only had 35 runners in the flat in Ireland this season. 7 of them have won. He's in profit. He's one of the very few trainers that's in profit on the flat in Ireland over the summer. And I think All Souls could be quite well handicapped off a mark 77. Will like the ground.
Which race is that in?
450, sorry.
450. Okay, Frank, anything else for us?
Nothing else for me.
Jolly good. Okay, thank you very much indeed, chaps. So, Keels, this afternoon you're up to Donny. Heavy drinking session.
Heavy drinking.
Doncaster racing tomorrow. Heavy drinking again.
Yeah, and I've since found out that I'll be coming back on a train with Brian Morris and Robin Gibson, which means we're going to empty the bar on the train.
Right, that doesn't sound good. And then Sunday?
Sunday we'll be recovering in front of the telly, probably betting with no discipline whatsoever, just playing around on my phone without even looking.
Excellent. Will you chuck a couple of tips out on Twitter, do you think, on Sunday morning? Because you've got an army of followers, at Paul Keeley RP.
I wouldn't have thought so, because if I chuck anything out then, it'll be through no work at all.
Okay, well, you've already had his thoughts on Aintree. So, DJ, big day for you. You've got the intermediate final. Does Aoife come along and stand on the sideline and yell you on?
Stand on the sideline. It's in the big stadium in Navan. It's a pretty big game, Bruce.
How many does it hold?
It holds 20,000, I think.
And how many will be there? 20?
Probably about 3.
Yeah, I was going to say. How are ticket sales going?
They're going. It'll be a big crowd. The whole of the parish is going to be going. But I'll make a statement now. If we do win, I can guarantee you I will be drunker than Paul Keeley is tomorrow.
Right, okay. Well, yeah, that's fair enough. And Sunday you'll be working at Leopardstown, will you? Regardless of what happens Saturday?
If we're beaten, we will. It just depends on the shift, yeah.
Excellent. Well, I hope that goes well, David. And Frank,
Thanks,
what
Bruce.
about you? You taking the lovely Jill out?
Oh, we have a very exciting evening and day ahead of us tomorrow. I have a marriage course tonight for 3 hours and all day tomorrow where some priest is going to tell me about sex, so it's going to be very interesting.
There's the quote of the day.
Fantastic.
Well,
I can't wait.
And that's when the racing's on as well, is it?
Oh, it is, yeah. It's going to be like my foot muted, the phone on, watching the racing.
That sounds great. And what about Sunday, Frank?
I'm back into work on Sunday then.
Jolly good. Okay, good luck, everyone. I hope you punt well. Thank you very much for listening. We'll be back to review the weekend on Monday. And like I say, do listen out for the jump season postcard, which is out now. Cheers.
The Racing Postcast in association with Paddy Power. They price up all UK and Irish racing the night before.